Hi, I'm Jill Chivers from Shop Your Wardrobe.
And I'm Imogen Lamport from Inside Out Style. Today we wanted to talk about the topic of choosing outfits, because we have been asked about how do we choose our outfits, and one of the aspects that we know about with choosing outfits that for both of us is we sometimes choose an outfit based on colour. And it can be a coloured element, a coloured garment, a coloured necklace, a coloured something or other. And so we were just going to talk about how for each of it, it's actually a little bit different. We do it in different ways. We may use similar words but actually mean some different things. And we just thought it was kind of an interesting topic to start thinking about.
Oh yeah.
Because one of the things for me is I will, get up in the morning and I'll make a whole load of decisions based on weather and this and that. But sometimes if there's no other input in particular that I've had about an outfit, the thing I will think about is what colour do I feel today?
And I find that a really intriguing sentence, what colour do I feel? Because I'm very attracted to colour. I wear a lot of colour, as those of you who've been watching our videos know. I'm very in tune with how I'm feeling, but I don't ask myself that question. And I find that really interesting and intriguing that you ask yourself, what colour do you feel? And my question to you was, well, how do you get to an answer on that? And how do you know when you've gotten an answer on that? Because it's really different how I do it.
Yeah. So colours bring up emotions for me. So I may associate blue is calming, or maybe it's a blue like this, which is a little bit more electrifying, it's a bit more exciting, it's a bit more dynamic.
Yeah.
Or it could be hot pink is my happy colour.
Right.
But sometimes if it's the middle of summer, hot pink feels too hot. There's a physical element to it. Or red, where I'll go, oh no, I can't do red today because it's too hot for red. It's going to be 40 degrees in Melbourne. I can't imagine wearing red.
Right.
Even though the garment's no physically hotter, it's a t-shirt or something, I still can't go there.
Yeah.
So there's this kind of, it's a mental feel in a way. So it's inside my head. How is it feeling mentally for me? And so sometimes it's like, and sometimes too, it's actually about the energy of the colour.
Right.
So sometimes I might think, I'm a little bit tired, so I need to pep myself up with some hot pink.
Right.
Other days I might go, I'm feeling a little bit tired. Wearing hot pink is going to make me feel, it's actually too stimulating. So I might want to wear blue because it's quieter or more calming. Yeah. And this, that makes no sense, does it? Like some days I can pep myself up and then other days it drains me. Some days I will use, say, hot pink if I know I'm going to be around somebody who's a very extroverted personality who can be quite dominating. And if I need to be the focus for some reason, particularly say in training situations where I think I need to use the hot pink or the red, those dynamic, vibrant, warm, advancing colours, so that it does the energy work for me, that it brings attention back to me, and I'm not having to constantly use my precious energy just to get attention. I can use it in delivering materials or whatever, do it for the stuff rather than just going, hey, look at me, listen to me.
Yeah, and I find all of that really fascinating. The level of thought that goes into that, I find really intriguing, because my own relationship to colour is less thoughtful, I suppose. And it has elements to it, and I have a wonderful relationship with colour, but I don't go through all of those kinds of things. I will think about the weather. I think a lot of women do that. Well, women of all personality types, I think, do that. But even then, I have been known to be faced with the reality of the weather that's out of step with what I've chosen the day before, and I'll still go with what I chose. I'll give it a go, because I put it aside and I want to wear that thing, even if the weather's sort of working against me. I'm not completely impractical in that regard, but once I've chosen something, it is extremely unlikely that I will unchoose it the morning of based on anything except anything extreme. Whereas for you do a lot of changing on the day of, and that's really interesting.
Yes, and it is one of those things. So when I'm choosing a colour, though, often it might be, I have a range of things in hot pink as example, if we're using my hot pink example. So it might not be, oh God, I'm not going to wear the hot pink dress today, but I might wear the hot pink top.
Right.
And because hot pink is, you know, to me, it's got this feeling of being energetic and dynamic and vibrant and exciting and a little unexpected and a bit fun and playful. And it's interesting because you were telling me, you know, Jill was wearing some yellow shorts, and she said, I decided I wanted yellow.
Yeah.
But how would you describe yellow? So what is the feeling yellow gives you?
Yeah. Well, yellow to me is a really tactile experience. It's a very enveloping feeling. And I think I use the expression, it feels like being in a tub of butter. And it has that element, it's a very sensate thing for me, a feeling, you know, in wrapped up in a colour, you know. It's a very physical kind of relationship. And so we use the word feeling, but for you it means something, how a colour feels, and there's all this analysis to it. And I use the word feels, but it's about a physical feeling.
Yeah, so mine is a mental feeling and yours is a physical feeling.
Yeah.
I know, apart from hot pink can feel too hot, and that's a bit of a physical feeling, everything else is much more about the mental aspect for me of how a colour feels. It's the psychology of it.
Yeah.
Much more than, you know, I can't, you know, like, it's not I'm enveloped, you know, if I was saying in blue, I'm in water, or I'm not, you know, in a deep, you know, green field, like I'm wearing green. Like that stuff does not even occur to me.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's just, it's very different. It's much more, and there's often a what's this colour conveying, and I tend to be an overthinker about some of these sorts of things.
Yeah.
But it's quite a different way of feeling.
Yes.
And my version of feeling isn't the traditional way we talk about feeling.
No. In fact, you were talking about insight and inspiration and it being more akin to those things, connected to also with the analysis and the scientific approach, and this curiosity that you have. And you used the word feeling to describe that. But when we talked about it some more, it was really those elements that are happening for you when you're going through that process.
Yeah, so there is definitely some sort of, it's an inspiration, like there's something that makes me, you know, like I feel inspired to wear pink or inspired to wear blue, if there's nothing else going on. So there's definitely, and it's very much wrapped up in my head, not the physical world. And apart from what am I interacting with in the physical world.
Yes. And that's a really intriguing process and quite different to the way that I do it, because I don't have that level of analysis. I admire it. And even though I do some of the practical things like the weather thing, for me it's so much more a physical sensation thing. And you know, some weeks I might even have a yellow week, which is yellow all week.
So do you do that to say, will anybody else notice it? Or do you just go, I just want to feel buttery all week? What is that?
It's for me. This is a week that I want to be surrounded by yellow. Although with us spending the week together, I did have this sort of little amusing thought that I wonder how long it would take you to realise I was wearing yellow every day. Probably one day, but
by the second day I'd have got that.
There's a theme here. So there's an amusing quality. I amuse myself and maybe it'll entertain somebody else briefly, but it's really just for me.
So out of curiosity, so when you're choosing a colour, so if you say I'm going to have a yellow week, what's a yellow week versus I'm going to have a blue week? So what if yellow feels buttery and enveloping, what does blue feel like?
Well, yellow also feels sunny and happy and optimistic, and these are all mood states that are the mood I'm in, or a mood that I want to be accessing more frequently. And so
that's more mental.
No, feeling really.
So it's feeling,
feeling optimistic and feeling happy. Yeah, so a feeling state.
Because I would say my hot pink is my happy colour. So for me, it's a happy.
Yeah.
It makes me happy. So it's a mood.
Right.
So it's similar in that way.
Yeah.
I just don't ever feel enveloped by it. So it seems to have, that colours have a physical sensation for you as well as a mood base.
Yeah, a feeling state. Yeah, it does. Both of those things are true for me. How a colour both makes me feel and my relationship to that colour. And to me, it's a never-ending circle. So if I am having a bit of a flat day and I choose some yellow, it might be to lift my mood up.
Yes.
And also, you know, if I'm feeling good, I want to express that. And yellow is one of the best colours that you can use to express that. So for me, the relationship to colour is both physical and emotional.
So are there any other colours that you would say have a physical sensation for you?
Well, yes, they probably do. You know, orange is sort of juicy and, I don't know, it's sort of it's moist and, you know, it is. It's like being in a jar of, you know, a glass of freshly squeezed orange juice.
Now, I'm really fascinated to know, because there's colours you won't wear that you could wear.
Yeah. Purple.
Purple. Does that have a physical feeling for you?
Oh, well, does it? Look, maybe it does. You know, I actually haven't sat and thought about this very much, but that might be part of the reason why I'm not attracted to certain colours, as well as for the other reasons we've chatted about as well. There could be an element of that it feels too, I don't know, purple to me feels, there's a sereneness to it. There's a cool, collected, I don't know, it just does not feel like me.
That's very interesting. So it's almost because you're quite effervescent and bubbly, and purple's like putting a lid on it?
Yeah, something like that. And I don't know, it just doesn't feel very earthy to me.
Okay. It's interesting, because if you look at the chakras, purple is the head chakra. So it's the kind of the air chakra, it's up in the top, and it's the opposite of earthy.
Yeah.
So that's actually a really fascinating sort of thought, and I don't know a lot about the whole chakra element of colour, but that is, it's very interesting that maybe, you know, and there's colours you don't really like. Black, how does black make you feel?
Oh, black is just heavy, it is, yeah, you know, black is like bitumen, you know,
So it's weighty, so you feel like you're being oppressed with black.
Yes, it's weighty is a good word for it, it's heavy.
It's heavy. So this is, I mean, you know, it's quite fascinating. So what's green?
What's green?
Because you love like an appley green, grass,
yeah.
Apple green is your favourite sort of green.
Yeah, so that sort of froggy kind of green. Well, that's very vibrant. It is just bouncy.
Yeah, bouncy. So it's bouncy, makes you feel bouncy.
Yes, it does. It has a sense of movement to it. A bit like those children's toy areas with a little bit like that, but not quite so many balls.
So, I mean, this is where you can see for you, I mean, this is something to think about. Like, do certain colours, do they give you a sensation? Do they make you think in a certain way? Do they make you feel a certain way? I mean, this is where colour's incredibly powerful. We live in a coloured world. We're surrounded by colour. And it is one of those aspects of style. A lot of people eschew colour. They just wear black and white and grey all the time. And so this is where it's fascinating to go, do you use colour in a certain way? How does it make you think? How does it make you feel? How does it change your perception of how you're going to behave?
Yeah, and if it does make you feel a certain way, what do you mean by feel? Because that's such an interesting word, and I think a lot of us do use that. But it can mean quite different things. And when we first started chatting about this, we were both using that word, but it's quite a different definition for it.
There is different definitions. Mine is much more cerebral, and yours is much more physical.
Yes.
And that's based on our different personalities, the way our brains work. And that's what makes this topic just so fascinating, that there's no one right way.
Of course.
There is no one way. And I think sometimes people come and they want a definitive answer. And the thing I can tell you is that there is no answer. But yeah, we'd love to have your thoughts on colour and your relationship with it.